So I'm not supposed to do these things when I list my house? Good afternoon. So there's certain things like you just don't want to do when you list your house. And so I wanted to go over them. I've got 12 things that I came up with. These are things that through time I've had the sad experience of having to deal with it in some way or another. And I thought I'd pass along that information for you. Here we go. Number one, don't take your own photos and don't hire a real estate agent who does. I get it. Right now is a hot market for the sellers, but it's not always going to be that way. When you hire a real estate agent to sell your home, they should expect to be using some portion of their commission check for professional photos. 99% of potential buyers are going to be looking at your house in photos online before they ever decide to see the house in person. That's why you need the best pictures possible. Don't settle for cell phone pictures. What if your house is a terrible wreck? My opinion is, in that case, it's still better to take professional photos. Show off the warts of the house. That is the listing strategy you're going with. If an investor is sitting at the computer, they can already start adding up all the repairs needed just by looking at the photos, and it could bring you an offer faster. Number two, don't forget to keep the kitchen clean and free of clutter. For some reason, countertops are the place where things go to rest. Mail, keys, part of last night's dinner, all seem to find their way onto the countertops. Keep the countertops super clean for showings. If you happen to be having a lot of kitchen devices on countertops that you don't use daily, put them away. If you have coffee every morning and you need your coffee maker, that's fine. But do you need your mixer? Do you use that every day? Just try and make it very, very clean. What you're trying to do is make it look like there's a big space. And that goes along with number three. Don't arrange furniture or possessions in such a way that your house looks smaller. I get it. You bought a sectional and it's huge and it takes up the entire room. You may not care, but potential buyers are going to think that the room is small. You put the microwave on the countertop in the kitchen and it's just fine, right? No, it's advertising that you have a small kitchen. When preparing to list your home for sale, think of words like sparse or few. Just the other day, I was in a house where they'd blocked off a door with a sofa. It made the house seem as though no furniture would fit anywhere. Do the best with what you have and put the rest in the storage. Number four, don't show off things that might turn potential buyers off. You may be the world's greatest hunter. You may have heads of deer, antelope, and elk hanging all over your wall of fame. You may be the world's greatest gymnast and have medals all over the place. A shrine to your greatness, perhaps. I get it. You're proud of your achievements. The problem is the eventual buyer of your house doesn't know you and frankly doesn't care that you're into running, hunting, or anything else. They're trying to picture themselves in this home. Try to be mindful of what I would call over-personalization when listing your home for sale. A few items here and there are fine, but don't make focal points out of things where they are important to you but not for others. Number five, don't advertise to your friends on Facebook that you will take less for the house than advertised. When you work with an agent to arrive at an asking price to sell your home, keep that between you and your agent. Don't tell your friend down the street that you would take less. Definitely don't post on Facebook something like, look at this idiot buyer who is paying too much for my house. That's a recipe for disaster. We have super fast communication these days. Anything you say can get back to the buyers quickly. And just social media minefield when it comes to listing your house for sale. You know, can you show the listing? Absolutely, no problem. But when people start asking questions, refer those questions to your agent. Number six, don't hide things from the seller's disclosure. So no house is perfect. There's always something that you might be uncomfortable about with disclosing. However, hiding it has the potential to get you into big trouble should a lawsuit be filed. The seller's disclosure is set up to protect you from that happening. If you know that the roof leaks, put down that the roof leaks. If you made a repair to the plumbing after a huge clog, write down that you made a repair and that it hasn't been an issue since. It's totally okay not to know something as well. After all, you're not a professional. It could be that your air conditioner works fine and when the new buyers move in, it breaks. You had no idea and that's okay. Sometimes I think we get into this trap of over-disclosing. You know, if you don't know about an issue, you're not a professional, don't write it down. If you have some idea something could be wrong, that's a different issue. Go ahead and write that down. But don't warrant things that you don't know anything about. I mean, you probably don't know about your water heater. I mean, that's probably one of those things that you have no idea if it's working fine or not, unless you're getting cold water all the time, and then write that down. Number seven, don't plan on meeting with buyers when they walk through the house on a showing. Do you want to know the easiest way to turn off potential buyers? Stay in your house and follow them around with their agent during a showing. The whole sales process involves buyers imagining themselves in your home. They don't want to imagine you in it. As a bonus, some real estate agents are late and some real estate agents are early with their buyer appointments. So give them an hour window before or after the scheduled showing time if possible. If it's a weekend, just plan to be gone. Number 8, don't snoop on buyers. It's 2022. We have the technology to monitor our homes 24/7. With that technology comes responsibility, though. Try not to record or snoop on buyer conversations with their agents in your home. I get the temptation, but it's also kind of weird. The biggest reason why you shouldn't be listening in is that the buyers want to be able to express what they really think about a house. If they think you are listening, they aren't going to be honest about the house, unless it's terrible. Then they don't care. I feel like there are ethical considerations here as well, but generally, just don't record buyer conversations and you don't need to worry about the ethics. Number 9, don't write out a confessional for why you're selling your house. While I have no issues with buyer love letters, I can't stand seller confessionals. This is one where a seller will write out some long detailed letter about their house, how important it was to them, etc. Here's why you shouldn't. Number 1, buyers are selfish and they don't really care who you are for the most part. Number 2, when you write that you've lived in a house for 40 years, it's going to come across as you've never updated the home and the buyer should therefore pay less. Number 3, appeals to emotion can backfire. If you have someone, say a family member, die in the house, putting that in a letter to the buyers might make them not want to buy the house because they don't want to have the image of dead people in their house. And number 4, you could be giving them seller motivation for why you're selling. A letter like, hey, I can't afford this house right now, is automatically interpreted by buyer's agents into, I will offer less on this house because the sellers are desperate. So there's nothing good that can come from this seller letter. So don't write it. Number 10, don't go out of your way to point out what is wrong with your house. This is different than not disclosing something. This is where you point out things that you don't like about your own home, either in listing photos or through notes you leave. As an example, don't write a note that says, we can only put a twin bed in here because anything bigger won't fit. Or we had to buy smaller furniture for the house because the rooms are so small. This can manifest itself in many ways. Let's say you had a mouse you were trying to kill 7 years ago and you just never picked up the traps. Buyers walk through and think you have a mouse infestation. Little things like this can add up to a narrative that your house is too small and filled with rodents. That's not the best selling point. Number 11, don't forget to clean up after your kids, your pets, or your significant other before showings. I get it. People are messy. But you need to put your best foot forward here. If the kids have clothes everywhere in their room, put them in a hamper or something. If Rufus didn't respond well to taco night, clean up after your dog. The goal needs to be to keep the house in its best and cleanest possible position throughout the showing process. But don't forget to keep the house as clean as possible during the entire sales process. Getting the house under contract is just the start of the process. If you revert back to your disgusting ways of living like a pig, a buyer could very well bolt during the inspection process. And number 12, finally, don't hire an agent without seeing previous examples of their work. There are all kinds of guides out there for choosing an agent. Some say you should pick an agent who your friends use. Some say you should pick an agent with many active listings. Some say you should only work with someone who's been in the business 10 years or more. Everything is subjective. One area where you might really see success when choosing an agent is asking them to show you their last listing online. It doesn't matter when it was. It doesn't matter what type of house it was. And it doesn't matter the price point. What you're looking for is, how did this agent market this property online? If the pictures are not professional, if the description is terrible, if the listing stayed active for many months, if the materials contain many misspellings, it could just be that the agent is terrible. Find an agent that markets their listings in a way that makes you want to buy the house they previously listed. And that's going to go a long way in getting the right agent for your house. These are some things that I've picked up along the way. Maybe you might not agree. You could say, but John, what about this case? What about that case? Put it in the comment section below. We'll talk about it. This is just a guide. Hopefully it helps you to avoid some embarrassment, some frustration with listing your home for sale and getting that eventual buyer that you're really going to appreciate having and having a smooth process throughout. With that, I'm going to head on out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.